The final farewell for the first patriarch of a new Russia. A funeral service at the country's biggest cathedral paid tribute to the man widely seen as the inspiration behind the revival of the Russian Orthodox Church after decades of communist rule.
All his life was filled with good deeds, but what will go down into history is that he started out when the church was weakened and isolated by years of persecution. Now the church is united with its people.
For 2 days and 3 nights, the late Patriarch lay in state, as believers flocked to mourn and say their goodbyes.
It's the end of an era for both the church and for our society. Aleksy was a great man. He led our church during very tough times.
All believers are united in grief because he was a man with a great soul. There aren't very many people who bring kindness and light in our life.
Top Russian politicians and delegations from around the globe paid their last respects. Aleksy promoted unity among Orthodox Christians and harmony between churches. And in death he united leaders of different faiths and from the political divide in grief. Despite the tension between Russia and Georgia, the Georgian Patriarch took part in the ceremony. Those who knew Aleksy personally remember him as a loved and respected man.
I loved him dearly because I felt that he was above all a great man, a man of faith and a true spiritual leader.
He was a unique person, unique not only for Orthodox believers but for Jews as well. He did a lot to harmonize relations between confessions.
Aleksy II was credited with bringing millions of Russians back to the church and the church back to public life. He was also praised for presiding over the reunification of the Russian Orthodox Church with its branch abroad. The two separated in the 1920s, but the 80-year split was ended last year.
He shaped out the policy of the Russian Orthodox Church in terms of our internal activities, catechism, religious education, mission, as well as the policy of the Church and church-state relations nowadays.
Under Aleksy's leadership, thousands of churches destroyed by the communists were restored across the country. The Cathedral of Christ the Saviour, demolished by Joseph Stalin, was rebuilt and became a symbol of the church's resurrection. Now Aleksy's body has left it for a final time. The chosen resting place, Moscow's Epiphany Cathedral, was special for the late Patriarch. Even during Soviet repressions it remained open. It's here 18 years ago that Aleksy was enthroned as Patriarch, and it's here that he wanted to be buried. For millions of Orthodox Christians around the world, Aleksy II will be remembered as the man who led Russia's spiritual renewal. And it's not just the death of their leader that they are mourning, but also the end of an era for the Russian Orthodox Church and the country.